have given a name to my pain. The Batman.
Always waiting for some Batman to save you.
It's simple. We kill the Bat of Gotham.
You don't really think you'll win, do you? I'm Batman.
Hey now, you are listening to episode number 89.5 or number 89 part 2, whatever you want to call it, of the Batman on Film podcast. BOF is the sponsor and a proud member of the Batman Podcast Network. Check out all the shows at batmanpodcastnetwork.com. Ryan, you have a show you want to pull from there that you could think of off the cuff?
Off the cuff, the thing that I would suggest would be the Let's Go comic show.
Okay, very good.
Oh,
it's on there.
Yeah, somebody on this episode can say a quick blurb about it, but it's real good, and they mentioned me a lot for some reason.
Because, yeah, hey. So, yeah, the Let's Go comic book show, and that we talk about comics pretty much every week, and we have a great time. And, yeah, we do make fun of Ryan because we call him freaking Ryan Haas, because sometimes
I'm freaking amazing.
That's just how you have to address that man. So,
all right.
There you go.
It's part of the Batman Podcast Network, so that is legitimate.
It is legitimate.
Yes, it is a legitimate example of one of the show members. Yes, one of the network members, I should say. I am the host of this here podcast, as well as the founder and editor-in-chief of Batman on Film. I am Bill Jett Ramey. Apparently, I'm also a hillbilly in Texas. Rick, you too. You're also a hillbilly. I don't have any hills or in this part of Texas, and I haven't seen any in the greater Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex either. So, Rick, you got a still in your backyard?
No.
Okay. Banjo?
No.
All right.
I've told this story before. I had to move to LA before I saw a riding bull for the first time.
Well,
I've been to Rick's, and hillbilly life is nice.
Yeah, yes, it is. Hillbilly life in Texas is nice. With me today on this show, number 89, are the great Batman on Film Roundtablers, Justin Kowalski and Ryan Haas. Also, broadcasting straight from the bowels of hell is BOF podcast co-host Rick Shew.
Right behind enemy lines here in Dallas, Texas.
Yes.
Sorry, that's my radio voice.
Yes, he's been on a binge of trolling this morning, and we'll get to that later.
Enemy lines of your own.
Actually, before we say anything else, I had a really friendly, just innocuous little post on our friend Zaki, our guest. We'll introduce in a moment, and someone trolled me. Just for the record, that's where it started. Then I took it over to Twitter because
you were setting up. You
had declared war, sir.
Because you had put my name, and I got a link, on how Facebook that someone mentioned you on Facebook, and then there's Rick trolling about one of the topics on today's show. We'll get to.
I didn't troll you. That's just
trolling.
Whatever.
Son of a
Moving on.
What you are.
Moving on.
All right,
we have a great movie to discuss.
I'm finally breaking him of engaging people who shouldn't be engaged on Twitter, and now he's resulted to trolling me.
Well, first of all, I don't troll trolls. Secondly, we're all working on that, sir. You do not. You were not innocent in that department yourself. But let's move on. I am
the most innocent of the guilty people. No, that would be Justin.
What?
That would be Justin. But I'm right after Justin as the least guilty of that crime.
That's a really interesting statement. But let's move on. We have a great movie.
That's a whole other podcast.
I am going. Yes. Okay.
Goodness.
Okay. Rick, why don't you do something useful this morning for once and introduce our guest, please?
Our guest is our returning guest, friend, HuffPost film critic, amongst a million other things, dad, husband, all-around badass, Zaki Hasan.
Good morning.
Hello. Hello, Zaki. Batman on film, authoritative, definitive, and what, Rick?
The dadgum original.
All right. Did you say that in your hillbilly Mesquite, Texas voice?
I hinted it. It was there. It was
okay.
Go
full on.
Oh man, you're putting me on the spot. It's a dadgum original.
All right. All right. So this is the second part of episode 89. Like I said, you can call it 89.5. You can call it 89 part 2. But we're going to talk about.
I used to DJ for a radio station. It was 88.5, and every time you say 89, I started having flashbacks. I'm like, KEOM, your community leader.
What was the format?
Oh, it was Mesquite Independent School District, and I was the after school DJ.
Okay.
Yeah, 88.5 KEOM. Still, my father-in-law is from Chicago, and he's listens to that station, and he lives in Dallas now.
Amazing. Do you have any recordings of you talking on here? Oh man,
I wish I did. I wish. Because I'll tell you what's funny is you talking about accents and everything. I sort of had one back then, and it was when I got into when I went to college and I had a theater professor in college that shook the hell out of me and got rid of my Texas accent. So I would really like to hear some of that audio now, because I would certainly sound like Ricky Joe from Mesquite is what I'm saying.
You don't have any audio of anything from.
No, I would. No, actually, I do. I have stuff like when I had a band and we did some talent shows, and I have some of the stuff up on YouTube, like 1991 performing with a full piece band. So that's kind of funny. But as far as the actual audio from the radio station, no. But I wonder if I could actually call them up and get it. It might be kind of fun to get some of that stuff.
Probably they may have it in their archive. So yeah.
Oh, here's a funny story. I was doing like a sort of an intern afterwards to get my FCC license, because I was originally going to be a radio, television, film major before I changed it to theater. Anyway, long story short, I was fired for playing Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. First of all, you're supposed to only play what they tell you to play. So I was going rogue anyway. But I really genuinely was naivety. I didn't realize it was an acronym for LSD, and that was a big no-no.
Wow, I just learned that right now.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I was politely shown the door. So there's
a good Rick
that
Shew
ended my
radio
DJ
story.
career.
Well,
all right, let's talk about this movie. Let's talk about this movie.
Yes, Howard Stern can breathe easier now that you didn't pursue radio. All right, we're going to talk about Batman 89, and it's going to be different from the last show, which, Justin, just describe the last show real quick, please.
Yeah, it was me and Ryan and BOF Hall of Famer Chris Clow, and we watched Batman 89, and we gave just a little bit of play-by-play, a little bit of personal effects of what we experienced when we watched the movie, and it was a good time. It was super fun, and yeah, I listened to it while I did yard work, so you can listen to it while watching a movie, while driving, while doing anything. Just don't listen to it while you watch Batman Returns. That'd be confusing.
What would you suggest? Watch it with the movie?
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole intent of the commentary. It's just kind of hear an experience from other people, and it's fun. I love commentary. So listening to three gentlemen like ourselves may just make that Batman 89 experience so much more than it already was. So
I was talking to Rick yesterday. I said, man, I listened to it and it was really good. I may not want to do it. It's just not my thing. I don't like commentaries from directors on movies. I don't, and so that's just my deal. But I want to do more of these because it was very successful show. So people like it, dude. So
awesome.
Let's knock out some more, please. All right, let's get to it. All right, let's get to the elephant in the room real quick. And get it over with. Okay.
In this corner.
All right.
Big Dukaroo.
I'm gonna let Zaki give his take first. Zaki, is Batman 89 a Batman / superhero origin film?
It's not. However, I think a more accurate term would be it's an introduction film, and the distinction I draw is like Dr. No is a great introduction to James Bond, whereas Casino Royale is the origin of James Bond. And I think if you look at Batman '89, it's a terrific introduction to Batman. You could show this to somebody and it could be their first look at the character, and they'll get everything they need, including his origin, but it's not an origin film.
Okay, I agree with that at 100%. Ryan, where you stand?
As a strict Batman origin film, I'm going to also say no, but I will say that the film does give you everything you need to know to be familiar enough with the character and the relevant parts of his origin. I mean, if you do go back and look at the origin issue or our origin story from the original comics, I mean, there's like at least 40% of that is in Batman '89. So there's a lot of it there.
40%?
I haven't looked at I haven't got the exact number in a while because we'd had a giant Twitter discussion on it before. But once we talk a minute, I'll get you a more accurate number. But it's higher than you think. But I still wouldn't say it's an origin film. I would say it's, like Zaki said, it's an introduction film. But you can say things like it's an origin film of the relationship between Batman and Gotham City, because, you know, Gotham is unsure about Batman, not sure what he is or what his purpose is at the beginning of the film. And by the end of the film, that's a little bit more clear. You know, you get things like the bat signal and stuff like that. And the film plays that up too. It's like, oh, who are these two people? That you've got Batman and the Joker, and which one's crazier? And that's kind of a cool dichotomy the film plays on.
Friend or foe?
Exactly. And but it is certainly a Joker origin film.
Yes.
But yeah, overall, it's not a Batman origin film, but there are many origin elements and from a lot of sides in it.
I would probably not agree totally with you on that, but I agree with you that and Zaki, it is an introduction film. That's probably the best description I've heard of it yet. All right, Justin, where you stand, dude?
I am of the mind that as soon as Bruce's parents die, he's Batman. And we saw that in the movie, and I lean more to it's the beginnings of who Batman is, and I think it really infers a lot of how he came to be, just through conversation and a lot of like him being new on the scene. I mean, you can put it all together, but I'll tell you, this is the first way I learned that his parents died and all that stuff was through, well, maybe not, cause I didn't get to watch the movie when it came out. I had to read it through trading cards, but experiencing this was how I got his origin. And so for me, yeah, man, this is his origin of how he became.
Okay, for you, it's a Batman origin film.
Yeah,
technically.
Yeah, I mean, if someone doesn't agree with that, okay.
Yeah, in regards of, I get you. I'm just being devil's advocate. In regard, if compared to Superman the movie, Man of Steel, Wonder Woman, Batman Begins, is it Spider-Man? The original Sam Raimi Spider-Man film, even the Amazing Spider-Man with Garfield. Would you say it's would be in the same category as those films?
No, because I mean those are origin films where it hits every detail, from how does Batman make his gloves to So I get that argument, but it's a different beast altogether.
Okay, all right, here we go.
So according to the legend of the Batman, who he is and how he came to be, and if you look at the number of panels, and if each panel is 100%, 9, 10, 11, 12 panels, 5 of those are in Batman '89, so that would mean it's got 41.67%.
Wow,
is represented in Batman '89.
of that story
of that particular origin story. Yes.
Okay. All right.
You could probably argue 2 more panels, but I didn't do that. It's got for sure at least 5 of them. So.
Okay. All right. Here we go. All right, Rick. Go ahead and spell out your nonsense.
I just want to point out that my wife actually got me, those word of the days, and I'm on S's, and today's word is semantics.
I thought today's word of the day was going to be origin.
It's just a weird coincidence. Semantics is my word of the day. Oh, goodness. I will say this. I think Batman 89 was an origin film before Batman Begins came out, and then it wasn't suddenly one anymore. This is, look,
That's
a lot of,
say what you got to say.
a lot of this is fun online banter, and I'm 60% serious in the things I'm saying. Is it a traditional origin film of Batman? No. However, there are so many elements of his origin that to say that it's not an origin film at all, that it's not anywhere in the universe of an origin film, that's utter nonsense.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Now,
That was my argument. There's a lot.
There is the.
Let me finish.
Hold on. I got to rebut. There is the how or the why. The why is in there. The Wayne murders, his parents being murdered. That's the why he became Batman. There's not one aspect of how he became Batman in that film. Not one.
Okay.
Not one.
He bought it in Japan.
So how many origin stories are there of Batman? True origin stories then? What
in film?
How many period? How many incarnations of comics show him training when he's young?
Year one.
Year one.
Year one refers to it. The Man Who Falls. I bet you haven't read that. It's part of. It was a big influence on Chris Nolan for Batman Begins. There is 0 Year by Scott Snyder, and there's probably more than that.
Okay, but hold on.
And I'm thinking back.
But here's my point. Just off the top of your head,
Yeah.
you could name 3 in one film, and that's really about it. Maybe a couple of more. Let's say there's 5 or 6 comics out of hundreds of comics. Okay. And then there's all these films. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's something that's sort of been explored more specifically in the last 20 years, 15, 20 years. But it's to say that it doesn't have elements of his origin is silly. Here's a good example of something. We see Gordon see Batman for the first time. That's significant. That's a big deal.
But there's the point. He sees Batman for the first time. He's
Right.
Batman already.
Here's the question: Is he the fully formed Batman at the start of the film or at the end of the film?
Right.
There is an evolution.
There's an arc. Right.
There's an arc. Yeah.
I ignore the sequel that I think ruins everything that film built, but that's a different.
Leave Dark Knight Rises out of this.
That's a different topic. But you see Gordon see him for the first time. He gives the bat signal to the city at the end of the film. You see him.
That's part of the Batman mythos. But he's Batman the entire film. He's Batman, and he's been Batman. They referred to him.
He's not Batman the entire film. You see him thinking back on his childhood when his parents were murdered in front of him. He wasn't Batman.
That was a flashback, but because he was when he had that flashback, he was Batman already. He did it in the Batcave actually, so he's Batman.
Yeah, but you saw him before he was Batman.
Never
in a full scene. You don't.
In a flashback, not in terms of the timeline of that film. You don't.
So it doesn't count that you see that in the film as him as a young man. That doesn't count?
It doesn't count as him being not Batman because it's a flashback and he's Batman when he's having the memory of it. He's already Batman. It's not like Batman Begins where you see them going to see the play and the bats and all that stuff. And
that's all flashbacks too. But he's not Batman at the start.
No, it's not linear. It's non-linear storytelling.
See, this is what I'm saying.
Batman Forever also, where they have the flashbacks. I mean, that's the comparison.
Batman Forever is more of an origin story than Batman 89 overall, I'd say.
I'm staying out of that one.
I'm out. I don't want to touch that one. Here's what I'll say. It's Batman 89 is a 100% Joker origin film. It's about a 55-60% Batman origin film.
That's bullshit completely. 55 to 60.
41.67. I give you the number.
This is about to become 55-60% of this episode.
Right.
Oh,
go ahead.
Okay,
let's move on.
I'm going to say I went straight to the man who's ultimately responsible for this film getting made, Michael Uslan, and has told me Batman 89 is not a Batman / superhero origin film. That was the whole point of it, to not do what they did with Christopher Reeve, Richard Donner, Superman, the movie. So there's that. Now, you want to hear FJ's
I
response?
don't think anybody wants to
argument, Rick?
I would argue that you don't see how Superman becomes Superman by some of these things.
He does just get locked up in the...
you hear Marlon Brando talk for 5 years.
Yeah, and then he bursts
suddenly
out there
flies off,
Superman.
right?
12 years.
How does he be 12 years? Thank you. How does he become
Look,
Superman?
Ultimate Scoreboard, Uslan's quote. Boom. I'm dropping the mic. Well, I don't want to drop it. It costs a lot of money, may break. So anyway. All right, let's move on. I did win that. So, all right. So,
Do you feel better about yourself?
huh? I always feel good about myself.
Okay.
Always.
You know what my favorite scene in Batman 89 is when Gordon sees him and he's like, oh my God. Hey, it's like totally Batman. It's like my best friend up there. See him?
Okay. Let's do that. Really? So Gordon helped him become Batman.
Who are you? Dude, I'm totally Batman. It's not an origin.
Yeah, I think Gordon helped him. He helped him put the suit together and everything because it's got you got to have that to be part of.
Bill had on Twitter earlier that we never saw him build the Batmobile. Apparently, that's a new standard for an origin film.
Who is this guy? He's Batman, don't you know?
All right, let's talk about this movie because it's timeless and I still love it. Let's talk about it.
Now, I got have a 5-second count to get. Let's give me 5 seconds here. Okay, let's talk about the movie, and we'll talk about our original viewing experience. I'll go first because I want to. I was in college when the film was announced, basically in 1988. I read about it in either Comic Scene magazine or Starlog. I don't remember. Does anybody remember those books besides me? Maybe
No,
Rick.
I remember those.
I remember.
Okay.
I didn't get them when they came out, but I've definitely acquired them at flea markets and stuff after the.
I would go to a local mall by my house and go to a bookstore, and they had those in the magazine section, and I would read them just standing there because God forbid I get caught by someone buying something that had anything to do with comics at that time. It's a different day and age back then, boys. And I remember reading that Michael Keaton had been cast as Batman and Jack Nicholson was cast as the Joker in a live-action Batman film. And the first thing that crossed my mind was that, oh man, they're going to they're going to make a remake of the '60s TV show because of Keaton's casting, and he had only been known for, Mr. Mom was his probably most famous role up to that time. He had just done Beetlejuice, which it's kind of a comedy, it's kind of, and there was Gung Ho, and of course there's Night Shift, which is
Beetlejuice origin movie.
It's my favorite, yeah. So,
sorry,
Ryan,
sorry.
You going into the corner, sir. You're about to be put in the corner. Beetlejuice is not an origin film. You did not see how he was a demon. He probably was always a damn Beetlejuice. So you trying to get me going. And I'm gonna.
He was always a damn Beetlejuice. I'm sorry. That's amazing.
I've got in my hand a mouse where I can mute you immediately. So don't make me go there. Going back. So anyway, that's how I found out. I thought it was going to be a '60s remake, and then several months later, I'm back there again. I'm looking in Starlog or Comic Scene, one or the other, and they released. That was the first picture of Keaton in the suit, and he's standing next to the Batmobile. And it's the all black, and I went, man, that's pretty awesome look.
I had that poster,
and they kept continuing, and they were hammering away with, this is really going to be dark and serious. And I remember I went and saw the trailer like January of '89 just to see the trailer. I don't even remember what movie I went to see it, but I went just to see the trailer, and then I was hooked from then on. I was super excited. I was part of the Batmania. I went and stood in line like at 3:00 in the afternoon on the day it opened. There weren't midnight showings back then, and heck, today it's even the midnight showings start 5, 6 o'clock in the day before.
The day before,
yeah. And I saw it, and I loved it. I loved it. It was.
Can you tell us about seeing the trailer, because that trailer is very interesting.
It's I got it on Batman on Film YouTube. It's just it was cut it's not like a trailer you would see today.
It was made hastily,
You've seen
right?
it. It was made to show people that it was going to be a dark and serious Batman film because, there was that petition against Keaton and sent to Warner Brothers and all that stuff. And I always think about, God, that was before, this was before the internet. Just imagine that today.
Yeah.
Just imagine that today, especially like right now, because you didn't see the
I don't think we have to, Bill. I think it.
Yeah,
it's a daily.
You know what I'm saying. So, yeah, and I went and saw it. And I was, I was hooked. It's just, it's if you've seen it, it's the scenes. You can tell it's going to be a dark and serious Batman movie. So, I saw it. I've seen it more times than any Batman film to date. I saw it in the theater. I had graduated college in '89, and so I wasn't starting work until August, my first coaching job, and I would just go to the theater and watch it. I don't know how many times I saw it. I watched it. Oh God, I burned out at least one VHS. I don't know where maybe two. I had three, but I don't know. I don't have the VHS. Like Ryan does have it. I've seen it on Twitter.
I watched it last night.
Awesome.
Watched it
on VHS.
Night. Yes, I did.
Really?
Yes. I got it to work. I actually got it to work. I've got two VHS. I'll get to it in my thing, but yeah, I was able to watch it completely in VHS last night. It was.
That's like you might be the only man in America with a VHS player. I really am impressed.
Yeah. No, we've got a TV, old TV / VHS combo. That's like a little small TV, and we just had it sitting around. So
cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. That's very cool. So into my 20s. When I was single, I would go out and come in at 2:30 a.m. with a bag full of Jack in the Box super tacos and put that movie in and watch it, I make it through the whole thing, but I did. So yeah. And that's my original viewing experience. Zaki, what's yours, man?
For me, my experience with the film is, didn't even include seeing it in the theater because I was living in Saudi Arabia at the time, so I was visiting the States for about 2 weeks, and we happened to be here like the 2 weeks before the movie came out. So it was peak Batmania, and I remember being on the plane flying back to Chicago, and I saw in a magazine the first still that I saw, and it's the shot where it's like right after he lands at Axis Chemical and he shoots his grappling gun. It's one of those iconic production stills, and I saw that and I was like, they're doing that, like they're making a Batman that looks like it's right out of the comics, and it blew my hair back, and I landed right in Batmania. So for me, I remember buying the novelization by Craig Shaw Gardner, and I had the audiobook of the novelization that was read by Roddy McDowell, and I had the Toy Biz, the friggin' terrible Toy Biz action figure, and I had the buttons, and if you went to Walden Books, they just had a Batman section, and you could not escape it, and it was the best feeling in the world to be somebody who had always been into comics to a lesser extent. But I would say that my comic book superhero fandom really bloomed thanks to Batman '89. The funny thing, though, is that I did not know who Michael Keaton was. I did not know who Jack Nicholson was. So my only response when I saw that the picture that Bill you described, where he's standing in front of the Batmobile, and that was one of the posters, and it says Michael Keaton, Batman. And I was like, wait, Michael Keaton's not Batman. Adam West is Batman. That was my first reaction. I was like, I don't know who this Michael Keaton guy is, but
Just for reference, how old were you?
I was 9 going on 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were a Batman fan already? Yes?
Yeah, because of the live action show and just, you couldn't be a kid in the 80s and not have some kind of Batman fandom even before the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this was, again, it was one of those things where it was already there, but this was what really like lit a match under it. And I mean, there was nothing.
It got
like
me back into buying comics. Yeah,
yeah, and a lot of people, and so for me that was the same thing. Like the movie, and you described the trading cards, the Topps cards. I had the souvenir magazine that Topps did. I mean, I was like obsessed for those 2-3 weeks, whatever it was. And the frustrating thing was, again, I was going to miss the movie by like a week. So when I finally saw it, I was back in Saudi Arabia. It was a bootleg VHS, like 8th generation. There were these burned in, Chinese subtitles. The audio sync was off by like half a second. So unfortunately, watching the movie just couldn't measure up to the hype that first, initially. But it didn't matter because I just inhaled that movie and I watched it. I mean, I know it front, back, and sideways now, So Batman '89 is one of those things I always tell people. I'm constitutionally unable to be even remotely objective about it, and I'm totally cool with that.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. All right, I'm going to bring in Rick with his take because, guys, Rick just saw it for the first time this morning.
I did, and I actually just watched it in like bits and pieces on YouTube. Yeah, so I don't really have any coherent like message other than, man, I just didn't know who Batman was, and thank God the origin of him was told. I'm watching so Bill, in a related scenario that I had a high school job at a mall for, basically all through high school, and I would run to the. Oh gosh, what was it? It wasn't a Barnes and Noble back then. It was called something else.
Walden Books?
Maybe. They were bought out by whatever it was.
Zaki mentioned Walden Books. That's when I said I went to the bookstore. That's where I went. It was the Walden Books at the book.
R.I.P. Walden Books.
So there were 2 magazines that I went after just religiously. Starlog and Hit Parader. Hit Parader was an old 1980s hard rock magazine. Yeah. Right? But those are my 2 go-to magazines, and that was basically my entire personality as a young kid too, like rock and roll and Batman. So anyway, I remember hearing about it, reading about it, and I remember when I first heard of Michael Keaton, and I remember thinking, Mr. Mom is Batman? Okay. And then kind of like you, Bill, or maybe Zaki, whoever said it first, I can't remember, but all you could think about is, okay, so this is going to be sort of a rehash of the TV show. He's probably going to be in tights and
that was
whatever.
my first thought, exactly.
Right. Yes. And I'm watching Cheers. I remember specifically it was a Cheers episode.
Oh God.
Which was a Thursday night. Thursday nights or Tuesday night back then? Anyway, one of the other. And the commercial came on. The first commercial, I saw it on TV. And the first thing I saw was the Batwing fly. That was the opening of that particular commercial. And
that was from the trailer. Yeah, it was like that's how the trailer opens up.
Like what? And then of course there's more Jack than Batman in that trailer. And of course he even has first billing. But the first thing I remember when I saw Batman, and he was something. It wasn't just his costume. Obviously that stood out because that was slick and just awesome. But it was also something about his demeanor. And I remember just in my head, however I thought of the term campy, maybe it wasn't that word back then, but this had the same meaning to me. This is serious. This is more like stuff that you had been reading in the comics around that same time period. And you're suddenly thinking, okay, they're going to put a serious Batman on film. Wow. Is that going to work? I for one am excited. How are people going to respond to this? I remember thinking I was 14. I said, how are kids going to respond to this? Like, how's my little cousin going to think about this particular Batman? If it is indeed like I'm thinking it's going to be based on what I'm seeing. And
so you were just finished 8th grade this summer. It came out. Am I right?
No, I was a freshman in high school.
Okay,
so maybe I was 15 then.
You're about to be a sophomore. Okay.
Yeah. So
okay.
So anyway, I remember going.
So what? Real quick with that, what was the buzz at school? Was there buzz for this film?
Well, Bill, it's very similar to what you were talking about. Like, and I've told this story about and I'll say her name again wherever you are, Stacy Ochoa. And she, came over to my house, my little girlfriend or whatever, but then walked in and saw my wall. I had one of those old 80s nets that you would get at Spencer Gifts all stretched out, right? And behind it was nothing but Batman stuff, primarily from the film, but I had a bunch of toys, and then I had a little shelf with comic books and like movie books and all sorts of stuff. And she was like, okay, loser, and because you were trying to hide it back then, because it wasn't cool it wasn't cool in 1989 to be, older than 12 and like Batman.
It is so different today.
So different.
Look, here we are. We're talking about Batman. We're all grown men. That would be unheard of.
Unheard of. And
30 years ago.
We're going to talk later about the legacy of this film, and I think that is a big part of it right there.
Great point.
It's absolutely responsible for the shift in how comic book films are taken seriously, and also just how we as adults can sit around and talk about it so openly and be cool about it. So no, there was a buzz, I'm sure, but it was, it was under the radar. We were too cool, man. It was high school. We were supposed to like Batman. But I remember when the movie came out, I saw it on opening day, and we talk about how many times we've seen certain films. It's hard for me to think of a movie I've seen more than Batman 89, period. Superman 2 is close. It's up there. But Batman 89, I saw it in the theater. I'm not exaggerating when I say this, 25, 30 times. I mean, it had to be, because I saw it probably 10 times alone when it went to the Dollar Theater, the old Big Town Mall in Mesquite, Texas. And then when it was in the theater, I saw it with like so many combinations of people. I saw it with my dad, saw it with my sister, saw it with my cousins.
On June 23rd, 1989, the movie's open. That's his opening day. Who did you go with?
I saw it that Friday night with my buddy Mike and my cousin Brandon.
Okay. Did y'all have to wait in line to get in, or?
Yeah, it was mayhem. And there was a comic book store in the same parking lot. Yeah. And so that was awesome. So there was that synergy. And we were just in awe because I hadn't seen anything like that since Empire Strikes Back came out. And even more so than Return of the Jedi, for some reason, Empire Strikes Back stands out. I was 6 years old. I just remember the lines and the buzz. But Batman 89 was something completely different. And because it was everywhere, Prince was everywhere. You could not turn on the TV without some people talking about Batman. I don't care if it was a Taco Bell commercial, a news clip, a commercial for the film, advertising for merchandise, whatever. MTV constantly playing Prince all the time. It was Bat Dance. Thank you. It was everywhere. And what I will always remember, and when we talk about our favorite scenes, and whenever we get around to that podcast, our top 10 favorite movie comic book scenes, one of them is the opening scene in 89. And I remember sitting in the theater, and when, he's like, let's get out of here, man. Let's get out of here. They're having that exchange. And he's like, hey, there ain't no bat. All right. There ain't no bat. Just shut up. And then all of a sudden you hear the noise up above, and they look up, and Keaton's cape flies open, and he jumps down, and my jaw hit the ground, and I went, oh my God, look at this. It was just beautiful. And I had just to see Batman on film like that, and the score, the way he interacted with the criminal, I'm not going to kill you, but I want you to tell your friends about me. It was so awesome. I remember wanting that scene to just loop, right? I mean, for a while, I was like, I remember even a couple of times before I went to my high school job, I would buy a ticket, and I don't count this in terms of me seeing the movie. I swear to God, I would buy a ticket to run in and just watch the first 5 or 10 minutes and then have to go to work, so I could at least see the opening scene. Mm-hmm. Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
And to this day, I've done that with trailers. So, but this is a different time. Trailers are like little mini movies now.
Yes. It's the passion everyone speaks with of this film. Now, Justin, you've told your story several times. I don't know if you want to it's, you know what? It's sad, man. I hate that. It makes me sad when I hear that story. But you also saw it for the first time in theater, not too long ago.
Yeah, not too long ago.
So I don't know how you want it.
Maybe 9 years ago.
So go ahead. Just everything together.
Yeah. Shameless plug for the Batman 89 commentary. If you want to hear how I first watched this movie, listen to that because I share it there. No need to bring it up again.
And you
short version.
How old were you in 89?
I was 10 years old. I was in 5th grade.
That makes me even more sad.
And so,
you got to go back. If you don't know, you got to hear it. It'll break your heart. It really does. It makes me sad. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna write a documentary called 89, and it's just a sad story about one boy's desperate attempt to watch Batman 89, and so I had to do it through the baseball trading cards, the Batman trading cards, like Zaki was talking about. That was my experience. Anyways, but one of the things I will say is, you guys all kind of alluded to it. It was everywhere. Batman 89 was everywhere. And one of the coolest things that I remember is my mom she was obsessed with getting me those stupid Toy Biz figures because you could not find one. Like, you had to get a rain check. I remember going to Target. I didn't know what a rain check was. I thought it meant when it rains, you get one. I don't know what that meant. It was weird. And so we finally were able to procure the Batmobile. So that was cool. So the first toy I had was the Batmobile that you put the shell on, and I still have it. Actually busted it out the other day. I put some pictures on Twitter as my kid wanted to see it so bad. But yeah, that was one of the coolest memories. My mom really fighting for me to get that. And then we ended up getting Bob the Goon, and so that was weird, just having Bob in the Batmobile.
Every collection has to have Bob the Goon.
Ended up getting.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Yes. Bob the Goon I think he wins an award for some type of really sad action figure role. It's like the guy with the awkward kick. But yeah, that part was cool. Just the hunt all summer and seeing, people with the Batman symbol buzzed in the back of their head and all that stuff. And it was such a weird time, we talk about, The Dark Knight and how there's a big buzz that summer. Batman 89 eclipsed that, man, because all I can think about is Batman 89, the beach, and because we were at the beach a lot that summer, and it was everywhere. Batman towels, man, so much fun. I wish everyone could experience that, because if you're a Batman fan and you weren't alive at that time, or you're just going back to watching the classic movie, you could not escape Batman 89.
The Dark Knight Dark Knight's close, but it's nothing like Batman 89. It was completely different.
Yeah, it was. If you could have been a tire store and you would have had a Batman logo in your window, it hit every aspect of fandom and non-fandom, because people were all about Batman. It was crazy, yeah. And so I remember they kept replaying the 60s show. They kept playing. I remember recording the 1960s movie on a VHS cassette, and it was on a local station out here, Fox 11. It said the original and best, and they would promote that thing. I remember watching that all the time. Man, it was a phenomenal time in my life. I loved it. It was fun, man. And that's where my Batman, I always loved Batman, superpowers. I had the little Mego ones you'd pull the heads off, but Batman 89 cemented it for me. This guy's the coolest guy, and it blew my mind as the movie fades, the excitement for the film, it's gone, and then Batmania kind of fades. I still had it, and I was like, why do people not like Batman anymore? Comics, and it got me into comics. It solidified that you read comics as a kid and here and there, but this one really pushed me into my fandom, and so there you go. There, I'm gonna put a bow on it right there.
I had
Batman
never
89.
been in a comic book store until Batman 89. I'd always bought my comics as either at when I was a kid, it was on the convenience stores had them on racks that spun around, and then I stopped reading them when I was a teenager, and then when 89 came out, it was I went local book the only comic book store we had in that area was in Port Arthur, Texas, and it was called the Book Stand. And a guy named Stan wrote it, STAN, not the book stand. And so that's where I went, and basically since then, there's been a few periods where I had stopped, but I have been reading comics ever since, almost 30 years now. So now, Ryan,
Yes. Yes.
You were too young to experience that.
Yes.
Correct, sir?
Absolutely. Yeah. I was about 1.5 years old when Batman 89 came out, but it doesn't mean I didn't get exposed to it very shortly thereafter, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure which I was exposed to first, the 60s show or Batman 89, probably very close to one another. It could have been that I started watching the 60s show on reruns, and then they're like, oh, okay, Batman. And then they got me into Batman 89. I had to have seen the movie when I was 2. I mean, because we still have VHS tapes of Christmases where I'm just young enough to walk. It's at Christmas. I'm wearing a Batman 89 little kid t-shirt, and you can see all the presents they're giving me throughout the festivities. It's kind of funny. It's a funny video to watch because it's just everybody else is opening presents, but just throughout the entirety of it, they just kind of like, my dad just like hands me a present and then I open it, and then hands me another present and then open it during the entire thing. And every present he gives me is an action figure from the Dark Knight collection that Kenner put out. Okay. So, and that was, I believe, 1990 when that came out. So
let me ask it this way, then that'll lead into the next part of the next segment is when do you really remember seeing it for the first time? The first, where it really hits you, I mean,
yes,
as a, and then go into that. What is it today? Where does it stand today?
Where does it stand today? And where do I remember seeing it?
That, and then where, because your experience is really is post that original Batmania.
Yes.
So you've experienced more through its legacy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, or its direct impact. I mean, it's not a little. Yeah, so, I'm probably one of the first people to experience it that way compared to
And then we'll all get into where what it means for us today and its legacy.
But I was able to experience it right as if the bomb dropped, if Batman 89 is the bomb dropping, like I was able to experience it like while it was still fresh in the air. So I remember first getting my formative opinions on it and seeing it. My grandma had a VHS tape of it, and I never remember seeing the box. I just remember seeing the VHS, and she would keep it at her house, and I would watch it every time I would go over there. And it was in one of those older VHS players where you had like a little window would open up vertically, and you would shove the tape in and push it down, and then you had to wait for it to load up properly and stuff like that. And I would just watch the VHS every time I went to my grandma's house, and it was awesome. That VHS is amazing, by the way. I mean, it starts out with your Diet Coke commercial with Alfred drinking Diet Coke and bat capes on Diet Coke, which is great. And then you have your Looney Tunes intro. You can't watch a Warner Brothers movie without a Warner Brothers ball cap. I do now own a Warner Brothers ball cap. It's great. I wore it to Batman v Superman. It was awesome. And but yeah, I just remember watching that VHS over and over and over and over again, just being blown away by it and just getting immersed in the character. I mean, talk about a film defining your fandom. That's what Batman 89 did for me, and I know it did that for a lot of people. To you, it's what the 60s TV show was. Basically, yeah. And because then by that time I was able to see, Batman Returns in the theater and stuff like that. But the staying power of that one film is pretty crazy too, because even the toys, like the Toy Biz toys, they were on shelves like a year or two after the film came out. My parents were still buying me Jokers and Joker mobiles and stuff. I would like play with them and I would break them, and they would still go to the store and buy new ones. They were still there, when they, and that just doesn't happen today. It just kind of shows you how much of a thing it was. But I was finally able to see the film in the theater for the first time last year. I saw it 2 times in the theater. They brought it back for like a weekend, and it was great. The theater was actually packed both times, and it seemed to me like a lot of people had never really even seen it or hadn't seen it in the theater like that too, because it was a great experience. People just kind of have this very interesting reaction to it, like almost like it takes them back to this time period.
You and Justin have that on me. I have not seen it in the theater since 1989. It's
an experience.
That's got to change. Yeah, that's going to have to.
Yeah, it was so fun and satisfying to watch it in the theater, and it was cool. It was
finally.
Yeah. I gotta make, maybe, I don't know even how I would go about doing it. Have a Batman on film screening of it and do something.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Anyway, all right, man. Zaki, where does it rank? Its legacy personally for you. Where does it rank? As amongst Batman, the Batman films, all the Batman films, and what is it to you still today? What does that movie mean to you?
Well, I think just going back to what I said earlier, I mean, it's something that I almost set it to the side. I feel like any attempt to compare it with the Dark Knight trilogy, which I also like most of, separate conversation, it's just not a one-to-one comparison, because so much of my opinion of the film is also my opinion of just that moment in time, and that's really what Batman 89 represents. So as far as the legacy goes, I mean, for me, it's the thing that made me a comic book fan, full stop. And that's something that can never be taken away. I think the film, it has some problems from a storytelling perspective, but it's nothing that would ruin the movie. You know what I mean? And part of that is because I think I was the exact bullseye right age to just take this movie as it was given to me. So I think in a lot of ways it shaped my perception of the characters. Certainly the idea of the approach that Michael Keaton had, which I love and I still love, and it's a distinctive approach to playing Bruce Wayne, where he's kind of, he has to put an effort into putting out the front, the Bruce Wayne persona, and we only truly see the real Bruce Wayne in bits and pieces. I think he doesn't get nearly enough credit for how much he did, and I think partially it's because Nicholson really blows him away in terms of screen time, and he's Jack effing Nicholson, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, Michael Keaton is a secret weapon in this film, and I mean, opinions of the sequel notwithstanding, he is so good in the sequel.
He is so good in the sequel, and he lets his guard down. I mean, he actually made some really conscious decisions in Batman Returns to give credit where credit is due, to lighten him up a little bit, and make him a little bit more, what's the right word here? Just outwardly, I guess. He was a little bit more of a recluse in the first one. Yeah. No, I agree with that 100%. Where do you rank the Batmans? Not the movies, because I can separate myself from, and I know you can as well, from the film and the actual portrayal from the actors. Because quite frankly, I think George Clooney could have been in a great Batman movie. And would have been,
I agree.
Yeah,
Bruce Wayne in real life.
Right. Right. He's amazing. So it's not the casting that's the Batman and Robin is the problem. So where do you rank Michael Keaton? Exactly.
Well, in terms, I'll tell you, his Batman voice is the best, period, in live action.
Yep.
I don't think anybody, like, with, I mean, obviously we know Christian Bale, whatever he was doing there, but even Affleck with the voice modulator thing, Keaton didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
And he still sounded like a distinctly different guy. He just it's just above a whisper. And when he says, "I'm Batman," it's friggin' terrifying.
Yeah. I think part of that is because it's because it was a very conscious part on Keaton, and I've seen him talk about it a lot, about how he would remove some of his dialogue or question whether he should say this or say that, or it's best for him to not. The less that Batman says, the better. And I think that, combined with the way he does deliver it, just kind of makes a full package, because it does kind of sell Batman as this shadow monster kind of thing, especially in the first.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one of my favorite scenes in Batman 89, and it ties into his voice specifically as well, is when he's in the Batcave with Vicky Vale. And he stands up and he throws her the package and says, "Here, take that to the press." And you see just his eyes, right? But, you know, she says something about, well, some people think you're just as dangerous as the Joker. And he's like, he's psychotic. And that line, the way he says he's psychotic, it's chilling. And it's such, oh, and his eyes, which, you know, that is another thing. He was in the most restricted suit out of any actor that played him post Adam West in that film. And I mean, that thing, he couldn't move at all. And to be quite frank, I couldn't tell. And I still to this day watch it and say, I know the restrictions he had in that suit. And he's just so specific. He used it to his advantage. He used it to his advantage, and everything was in his eyes. And I'll give the same credit to
that scene is the best.
It's amazing. It reminds me, with Tom Hardy and Bane in a couple of scenes as well, the same kind of thing. It takes a real actor to be able to pull that off,
and a director too that knows that's what needs to happen. You know,
right? And Keaton was absolutely. He's so great as Batman. He's so great.
That's a great scene, and when she says that about people think he's psychotic, and he turns his head just a little bit and says, "What people?" Like, you know, question like what, like who would question that he's psychotic? You know, and then he kind of laughs, he's psychotic, you know. So
and you can tell it even probably kind of bothers him a little bit, right?
Yes,
right. Yeah. And then let's think about also the scene with him holding at the time Jack Napier over the actual acid, over the chemicals, and he's holding him. Let me just pose this quick question, Bill, if you don't mind. Zaki, does he drop him on purpose?
No, I don't think he does. No, I mean, it's funny because I just watching it last night, I rewatched that bit in particular, not knowing you were going to ask this, but I mean, it seems pretty clear to me that he was trying to save him.
Yes. When he slips and falls, then Batman grabs him, and he's not holding. Here's what the only thing I remember even thinking this when I saw it is like, okay, you just picked him up with both hands and raised him up, you know, over your head, and you can't pull him up and save him from the acid. But with that said, I don't think he dropped him on purpose at all. No.
And what's great about that,
he's very good at like shooting his grapple gun with falling. He was able to save Vicky when she was falling off of the bell tower. Yeah. But anyway,
well, and that's why it's kind of an interesting discussion. But either way, whether he did or didn't, or was a little indifferent about it, there's something about his eyes, and even after he falls, he has this moment of, well, that kind of sucks, but oh well, and it's all there, and it's just, man, it's powerful.
He looks terrified at that point when it happens.
Yeah, it's really good.
He's looking both ways. You know, he's having to turn his whole body, and then, you know, and it's Gordon's like, yeah,
that's because he can't.
I know, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's the only way he can move.
But he makes it look badass.
Yeah, it doesn't look constricting.
Can I just say,
come off that way? Does that make sense?
Piggybacking off of what you guys are saying, just a few minutes earlier in this scene is, I think, one of the best entrances Batman has ever gotten. It's when he arrives at Axis Chemical, and the music awesome. Swells. Yeah. That Danny Elfman music, which is like the third lead of this film.
Yeah, it's a cure.
I mean, to me, I could watch that again and again. Like, you know, Rick, you were talking about the opening 10 minutes. Like, I would have had to stick around through Axis Chemical just to be able to see that scene again and again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
That scene is, that whole Axis Chemical scene is, there's some great Batman shots. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. Iconic stuff.
Yeah, even when the thug comes and he, all of a sudden you see him just, you know,
without even looking,
backhand him.
That part is funny to me because when I was reading the trading cards, because I didn't see the movie, it has that scene, and in the scene, it gives you like all this like expository things. It's all Batman's thinking about, you know, his journey into becoming, you know, the winged avenger of the night. It has all these things like, this is what Batman's thinking about, and then bam, he hits that guy in the face. So I always think about that.
Or how about when Ninja Boy meets him in the alley? And then all of a sudden he just has to readjust because this is going to be a different kind of fight. And then look at his face and how he, freaking.
Speaking of which,
I used to think that was Prince.
What's that?
That guy. I used
Oh,
to
yeah?
think that was Prince.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking about
I don't
how
know.
restrictive
I
the
just
outfit was, but something we all, kind of talked about on the commentary was just how much fight scenes and butt kicking Batman does in this movie. It's you kind of forget about that, when you have things like the Batfleck, to watch. But there are they didn't really shy away from not trying to do a bunch of fight scenes in this film, which I think is very interesting.
Not at all.
All right, Zaki, how often do you watch it today? And then we'll kind of cap off that part.
I'll watch at least parts of it, once a year easily. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, Rick. What is this film for you, and what is it? What's its legacy?
For me, it's tied as my third favorite Batman film. And I know that empirically as a film, The Dark Knight Rises is a better film, but I don't care. I don't care. Look, Batman Begins and The Dark Knight are absolute masterpieces, and it's hard to say that a Batman film tops either one of those. And Rises is pretty damn close to both of them. And I have to just put Batman 89 in there with it because I can watch it and I don't care about its flaws because they were there. This movie was shot in 1988. There hasn't been a successful comic book movie since Superman 3 to my knowledge, right? I'm not missing one, am I? That was in 1983. Right, there wasn't anything between 83 and 89. Howard the Duck was a flop. Superman 4 was a flop. So to me, it will always be the film that made the world, not comic book readers, but the world take Batman seriously. And I always think, and that's the legacy for me. And to me, there wouldn't be the Nolan trilogy without it, because quite frankly, I think what happened after Batman 89 is so bizarre, how well received that film was and how successful it was. And then Tim Burton really did some odd stuff in Batman Returns. And then then the studios took it back to the 60s camp with the Joe Schumacher films. It was a weird time for Batman after that. We found him. The world discovered him.
Right.
And he sort of lost his way until Batman Begins. Yeah. But you have to always go back to the grandfather, and that's Batman 89. Without Batman 89, I guarantee you, Nolan and Bill, you may even know this firsthand. We're like, we got to bring this guy back to like how he was taken seriously in that first Tim Burton film. We need that back, right? And I think that every serious comic book movie that's out, whether it's Logan, whether it's Man of Steel, whatever it is, I think they all have to tip their hat to Tim Burton and Batman 89. They have to, because it was we took not just Batman seriously, but we took a comic book movie seriously. Even though there was camp in it, it was still the 80s, and Jack Nicholson's Joker was obviously very zany, but it was also really dark, man. I mean, he fries a guy, and the skeletons there. He's a cold-blooded killer.
He shoots Grissom, several times.
Right.
And has fun doing that. And there's blood on the newspaper. He smeared and, wing freak terrorizes.
Oh, I love that.
Wait till they get a load of me. Yeah, that's a great scene.
That's a great scene. I also love everything between him and Jack Palance as well. Everything.
Yeah.
And right. I mean,
how often do you watch it? Do you watch it start to finish ever anymore, or?
I watch it start to finish at least once or twice a year. Yes. But like Zaki, for instance, for this show, we were going to do it. You were going to come to Dallas. Things happened. We rescheduled it, and then we ended up doing it anyway because your trip to Dallas was canceled. I wanted to sit down and watch it start to finish between here and then, but we decided on the show on Saturday.
Yeah.
Right. So I had to say, well, crap, I can't watch it today. I've seen it 5 million times, but I still watched 30, 45 minutes of it on YouTube, just pulling up clips, just to kind of get my juices flowing with it. And I tell you what, it's aging very well for me. It just really is. I think it's fantastic. If I had to just grade it, I'm going to give it a solid A. And that's my grade on it, and that's what I give Dark Knight Rises. I give Batman, right? Solid.
Yeah, I'm. Look, we may not agree, and a lot of the origin thing is tongue in cheek and kind of, but we have a good time talking about it. But I am with you on the legacy part. It's it's not my favorite Batman film, but it's not the best Batman film, but I think it's not only the most important Batman film, it may be the most important comic book movie ever made. Maybe Superman the movie is more important because that was really the first of the quote unquote modern superhero films. What you had before that, you had, Batman 66, and then you had the serials, the old serials with, 40 serials, the Batman and Captain Marvel had his serial, and of course Superman. Exactly. Excuse me. But, like I said, I've watched it more times than any film, period, in my personal history. I will watch it start to finish at least one time a year. If I see it on TV, just by happenstance, I will stop and watch maybe whatever's left. I will find clips. I have a lot of the clips on the Batman on Film YouTube page just because they're my favorite. I'm Batman, and the descent into mystery, and going to the Batcave with Vicky and all that. I the posters hanging on my wall. In my office. It's just.
And let's not forget,
lost for words how much I love it.
And let's not forget, it's fun and it's funny. I like Zaki's buddy John Trump. Yeah, Zaki's buddy John Trumbull on Facebook brought this up earlier, and I just kind of noticed it. But he was talking about one of his favorite moments in the film, and it's when Batman shoots Vicky Vale up, and she flies up to safety up on the railing, and he falls down, and the goons think he's dead or passed out. And like, who is this guy? And that one guy's like, check his wallet. It's a funny moment. That's a great moment.
Yeah, the guy says he's got some kind of body armor. For years, I didn't even know how to turn subtitles on or on the VHS. For years as a kid, I was like, what's he saying? He says like, he's got a buddy on him. And I'm like, I don't know.
Got a buddy on him.
Yeah.
Like, who knows what that means? And then there's the I'm of what is it? The Joker says, I'm of a mind to make some mookie. But who knows? Yeah, for years, who knows what he was really saying?
And one more thing, I want Justin to kind of finish this topic out, and then we'll get to a few readers' questions, and he's going to do that part too as well. But that was for me the moment that I never hid the fact that I was a Batman fan again after that movie, ever. And so, for almost 30 years now, 27 years, I've proudly wore Batman gear and did not hide my fandom like I did when I was a teenager. And maybe without that film, there may not have been, well, you know what? Without that film, there wouldn't be a Batman on Film website, because I don't know if, that chain of events that happened afterwards would never have inspired me to start the site in the first place. So
yeah, it is Batman on Film.
Yeah, it is. That's really, that's all I got for that. It's a lot, and I almost get emotional thinking about how much joy and fun that movie has given me for over the last 27 years. All right, Justin, your thoughts on that, and then we'll get to a few questions, sir.
Yeah, Batman, again, just going back to what I was really saying, Batman 89 just kind of kicked it off for me, and I love that movie, and I love watching it. I love watching it with my 8-year-old. We watched it again 2 nights ago. We actually watched both Burton movies, and it's just, that movie is magical, and I love the suit. I love how rough it is. Just the tone, the music, it just takes you back, and they did something special there.
You mentioned this again. Did anybody, when you saw that first time you saw Keaton in the suit, did anybody think Batman doesn't wear all black? Did anybody have that reaction?
Yeah, when I was to me it was like, why is he wearing all black? And it was a new thing for me. And so when I was young, I would just draw pictures of the old 1966 Adam West one, and then I would draw a new version, and I would have my sister like, which one's the best? Just stupid things like that when you do when you're a kid. And it blew my mind because I started buying the comics
Yeah.
like at that time, and he wasn't wearing the black suit, and I was confused. I was like, why is he not wearing the black suit? Because the black suit's everywhere. But the marketing actually took black suit, and it took like the classic. Like they would do a lot of Neil Adams artwork.
They would reinterpret the original artwork with the black suit, like on the Taco Bell cups and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was
exactly.
Yeah,
Still have those Taco Bell
that
cups.
made me that suit made me prefer Batman in black way over him being in blue. I never, I know the whole blue thing, he was supposed to be black, and the color issue back then, but whatever. So
yeah, but. Yeah, that movie, I 100% love it, and I love watching it, and anytime it comes on, it's like, get you excited. So I was watching, I went and saw It last night, and there's a scene in the movie where they're outside a theater, and it says Batman 89 on the marquee, and it made me excited, and my buddy Eric he's all, look at, man, it's Batman. So, like, everyone knows I love Batman, and it's because of that movie. And so, I don't know if you feel the same way, Ryan.
Yeah, I do feel that way. The thing about Batman 89 overall is, I think, just like Bill was saying, I think the best thing to come out of Batman 89 and Batmania is, I just think it made it okay to embrace fandom. It brought that kind of fandom to the mainstream through like a blockbuster motion picture. It's like the birth of Blockbuster, and it's also the birth of like everybody embracing fandom across the board, So I think that's absolutely its best legacy. For sure.
yes, I would agree. All right, let's do a few questions.
Yeah. So we had a bunch of questions that were submitted into our Instagram. So plug Batman on Film is on Instagram. So check us out there. We're trying to keep it fun and put some stuff up there. So I'm going to ask a couple questions. And so, Bill, do you want me to just run with this?
Yeah.
And I'll just kind of throw them out to people. So this is huge. This is going to be a good one. So, Zaki, I'm going to throw this to you. This is from, it's going to be contentious, so I'm putting you on the spot. Get ready for the hot seat. All right, so Tyler Batstone from Instagram, he says, do you like Burton's interpretation of Gotham as a very gothic dark city compared to Nolan's Chicago version of the city in the Dark Knight trilogy?
I prefer the sort of hyper realistic version of Gotham City, specifically in the Dark Knight. I think that what we see in Burton and Nolan is just two different approaches to the character. I think Burton had to sort of be like, the city needs to be so out there that we believe an out there character like Batman or even the Joker could exist within it, which is one interpretation. And I think Nolan was more like, we need to ground it such that characters like Batman and the Joker stand out. And, I'm not going to say one is right or one is wrong. I would say just in terms of personal preference, as far as how I like seeing the characters depicted, I come down on the side of Christopher Nolan, specifically Chicago. Bias here. I'm a Chicago son, born and raised there, grew up there. I walked along many of the streets that Batman Begins and The Dark Knight were filmed in, Lower Wacker Drive, which is where the truck chase happens. That's like, I spent many of my college project in and around there. So that's my bias creeping through.
Okay.
No, it's good. That's good. We all have, we're all formed by it. I feel like Burton's Gotham, like the stuff Anton first did, sticks in my head. Like in my head canon, that's Gotham. A lot of those designs, the skyline, the claustrophobicness of the city. Like, I think that hits my likes more, but I appreciate all of them. I even like some of the stuff from Batman Forever. So.
All right. Another question, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So Peter Illustrated, good old Pete Vera. He says, do you feel Anton First Batmobile to be the definitive version? He says that he does. Bill, what do you think?
Well, I get this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably my favorite. I like the Tumbler a lot just because it's, how they used it in the films and how it was supposed to be a military vehicle. But yeah, Batman 89. You know what? There's not a Batmobile I don't like. In any of the films. And
I don't like the one from Batman Forever.
I like all of them. I actually like the one in Batman and Robin.
I like that one too.
But
Just like
Forever, that one's silly to me.
Just like I even like all the suits for the most part. So I'm not. That's probably I would say if I have to put me on the spot, it's probably the best and most definitive looking Batmobile on film so far.
You know what's funny? My favorite Batmobile is BVS.
Really?
Yeah. And the reason it is because it's sort of a hybrid of Chris Nolan's Tumbler and a traditional Batmobile, and I just think it's awesome.
It's bigger than the Tumbler, and I thought it was smaller, and then I saw it in person, and I was like, damn, it's bigger than the Tumbler. So,
and you know what it hit me? It wasn't even during BVS; it was during Suicide Squad. When he's chasing the Joker and Harley, I was like,
it does have a cool sound. It has it as it comes around that.
Wow, that is a really cool car. I just didn't even tuned it out in the last film, I guess.
All right.
Anyway,
Justin.
All right. Next one. We'll give this one to Rick because since he just watched the movie. This one is from The Final Night, and he says that obviously we love this film and it's a product of the time. And Tim Burton, what moment do you cringe the most at now? Especially if you didn't cringe when you first saw it.
I don't really cringe in this film. I mean, if this was Batman Returns, I'd have like a long list of things for you.
Oh, I know.
But, okay. Let me think.
But it's 89.
I think some of the newscast sequences are just a little too exaggerated, and it just doesn't seem. I don't know. Some of those scenes when they have the moles on their face and they're talking about. We don't use these products, and I could, if I would alter that a little bit if I could. Those scenes are a little weird, but I don't. It's hard to say because it's not flawless by any means. There's just nothing. There's nothing really that I cringe in. But those sequences are a little goofy to me, and quite frankly, the very, very ending. Is as amazing as the whole buildup is and the beautiful score, it's very obvious that that's like a little statue of Batman standing next to the bat signal. I wish they would have done a little better job with that.
I've lived with this illusion for like 30 plus years.
I know, but it's just so obvious. Oh, I tell you what.
We just watched that, and he said,
when the Batwing crashes. I don't even mind Joker pulling out the long gun and shooting it. I mean, as ridiculous as it is, it's a heightened, it's Tim Burton's zany Batman world. But when it actually crashes, like, oh my gosh, look at all those miniatures.
That's true, and you can see that in high def.
Yeah, too.
Yes, it's
cool,
just, it is, but it's. I guess I'm just trying to answer the question because
I'm like during that is how could the Joker dance and carry on with that long gun down his pants? I mean, it shouldn't
the
have
whole time.
One leg he can't move very well. Whatever. Okay.
Mine, real quick. Mine is the part at the beginning of the film where you see a little animated version of Batman on the rooftop turn around. I never, as a kid on VHS, I never knew what that was. I was like, what is that, a blob? I had no clue. It took me years to figure out what that was.
That could have been better. That could have.
I want to change my answer. I know what it is. It's when the Joker reveals that my fellow Mesquite, Texas friend Jerry Hall had thrown herself out the window. Jerry Hall's from Mesquite, Texas, boys.
Okay. That's not a cringe scene, is it?
Well, just because she's my friend from Mesquite, Texas. That's all.
Okay. Well, okay.
Can I add something real? To me, I don't know if it's cringe-inducing, but it is kind of shrug-inducing. Is the entire character of Alexander Knox?
He's so good. He's amazing.
What?
I think to me,
we love Alexander Knox.
Like I think Robert Wall probably does the best that he can, but I mean, I think it says something about how far the genre has come. Where at the time, the filmmakers thought we need like an entry point character so that people will understand Batman, and that's it's like a little stick pin in time. You know what I mean? Like you cut to 2004 or whatever. They did something similar with Hellboy, where you had like random guy who is like our entry into the Hellboy world. And that you understand that because it's so fantastical. But the idea that back in '89, it's like people aren't going to get Batman, guys. We need somebody to explain him to the audience, And that's and Knox,
Yeah. Now that you brought that up, it changes the whole way I look at that Knox character from now. I never thought about that till you mentioned it, and you're spot on. I have one, and it'll take just a second.
I miss Knox in Batman Returns.
When the Joker kills Grissom, and he's got that purple mark on his neck, which was, the whole thing was the white had got on the velvet purple jacket from the makeup, and so they got purple coloring and put on the jacket, and then it touched his neck, so he's got this purple mark on his neck, and I'm like, you could have done something with that. You didn't see that, so okay.
But they reshot it. They shot it, did another take, but Tim Burton didn't like that take as good, so they went with the mistake version.
Couldn't you fixed it somehow? I know they didn't have the CGI like they do today, but is there something? I don't know.
I know they made an animated Batman. They could have put.
That's true.
Hey,
yeah. Well,
how
into his face.
How about when Bruce was sitting in the Batcave and he was reflecting on his parents' death, and he has the records book in his hand, and there's that long pause just to make sure that you can read everything it says on the front of it. Does that mean, you know what I'm talking about?
No.
It's kind of bad. It's like, you're like, okay, everybody get that. And then he opens it. They could have done better with that. There's a crunch market for you.
Couple more.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Ryan, let's see. This is from Batman, the animated series figures, Batman TAS figs. Do you see this movie as the beginning of the modern
Yes,
blockbuster?
absolutely. I talked about that a little bit, just not only in how it was cast and, the budget, but also the way it was marketed. That's the kind of response that every studio wants off of a tentpole, for sure. And I think that kind of set the rules for a lot of that kind of stuff.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it really was the blockbuster, right? And
all right, Justin,
were all lined up.
Pick one out.
Yeah. Sorry, I think was Zaki going to go in there?
I think of it as, I don't know. I don't know if I see it as the beginning of the modern blockbuster, but I think that, to me, Star Wars and Jaws are the beginning, and I think Batman was an evolution of that, and I think it's very important. But I view it as a tentpole, but not the starting line.
There's a really good special feature about this on the Diamond Lux Blu-ray version of this about the blockbuster stuff.
Okay.
And thank you, Zaki, for the Star Wars plug. There's always one every episode.
All right, Justin, pick one out for yourself, sir.
For myself,
Yeah,
oh man.
you.
So for me,
one that you would like to answer.
Gosh,
make it tough.
One that I'd like. Oh, you know what? It says. This is from Javit True. It says, which bat suit of Keaton's do I prefer, the 89 or the Returns? And you know what? A lot of people go Returns. I think I like 89 better. I like the 89 suit better.
I really dislike the Return suit.
I like the 89. I mean, I like the 92 suit, the Return suit. But if you want me to pick my favorite, the 89 suit, hands down, just looks like Batman. There's not weird armor. I love it. It's good, and I like how sunken back his eyes are, and just how rough it looks. So.
I think it's
short answer.
I agree with Returns personally.
I like the Batman Returns suit. I don't like the movie, but I like those suits. But not better. I like the 89. If between those two, aesthetically, I like the Batman 89 suit. All right, let's go one more.
Yeah.
One more.
All right. Oh, man. This one. Here we go. Okay, this is from Tabs 3121. If back in 1989 there was social media, do you think it would have changed people's perceptions of the movie the way it does now with current blockbusters?
Oh, I know that
if there was Twitter, it certainly
would have been.
The Keaton thing would have been huge. It would have been huge. But I would say this. We saw that after. We should have learned from Keaton not to freak out over casting. We saw it with Heath Ledger, and look out, how did that turn out? Ben Affleck. Look,
that's the craziest one.
Now you get all of these. No. Let me say. I'm just going to say.
Let it go.
All the people who are flipping out of whether or not Affleck will return for another film after Justice League. A big chunk of these people, if not all of them, flipped out when he was cast in 2013, which tells you a lot. We saw it with Anne Hathaway too. So, and Catwoman.
Tom Hardy.
In the Anne Hathaway one was, well, yeah. I think Tom Hardy was more that Bane was in it. Period. Though I don't know if it was so much.
No, it was. He's not big enough
what?
to be Bane.
That was the thing with Bane, but no one said anything really about. They said, Bane should have been CGI because he needs to, Hulk out on Venom and become 8 foot tall and stuff. But, there was venom about the casting of Anne Hathaway, just like there was for Heath Ledger and Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton. But I think, with that said, my whole point is that, after you see the film, that stuff dies down. Yeah. Even, with all of them. And I think that would have happened with Keaton as well.
That all would have ended. Everything would have ended in 2005 if Singer just would have cast me as Superman.
Yeah,
we would never had to deal with that.
Yeah,
that'd been it.
Well, I probably would have been like the internet would be
I agree.
freaking out about Keaton, but then when they see the movie, Keaton would have been like, "Oh, Keaton was great. Okay, the '60s show sucks. That's not the real Batman." And then it would kind of like, I know exactly. It would have been amplified.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
There
good
you go.
stuff. All right. Let's go some plugs real quick. You probably noticed there's a new intro when they open the show. That is thanks to Mr. Chris Roach. You can find him on Twitter at Chris Roach Music. That's music with a Z and not a S. Check his Twitter out. Tell him thanks. And I do want to say thanks to Eric Nichols. He is the author, the composer, the audio guy, who put together the original intro. You can find him at audio_Eric. And I really love the original intro, and I'll get it in there every few shows because it's a classic part of the podcast, and I still like it.
Come out at the right spots, just like Batman.
Yes. So it's not going away. It will not go away, but I do that. Guys, what y'all think about the new one? It's pretty awesome.
It's pretty cool.
It is. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm actually reaching out to him to do I need an official Left Shoe podcast intro, and we're talking about that. Hey, let's also, for just a moment here, let's give a shout out to all our Floridian BOFers that we hope you guys.
Oh, I did on Twitter. Yes.
Yeah. We've got some
family
you guys too. So
yeah, we're pulling for all you guys, and we're here for you. I just hope everybody's okay.
Yes, I just went through this. I went through the whole thing myself. Not as bad as it's going to be. Not as bad as a lot of my neighbors in this area went through, and down in my hometown of the Beaumont, Port Arthur, Orange, Golden Triangle area, still dealing with that flooding, and as well as here in Houston. But this thing is way more powerful than Harvey was, and it's like going to affect all of Florida and a lot of the Southeast. That's why I'm not going to Dallas for the game this weekend. I was meeting my childhood friend. We've been friends since first grade. He's a doctor in South Carolina. We meet once a year for a guy weekend. And he's in South Carolina, and I said, man, you need to cancel that flight. I didn't think he'd be able to get back Monday because they're going to be experiencing it too. So that is why I am home, and I sold my Cowboys Giants tickets. All right. Let's plug. Zaki, what you got to plug?
I'd like to mention two things, actually, because, Rick, you alluded to John Trumbull. I interviewed John Trumbull about a month and a half ago for the Nostalgia Theater podcast. He did an expansive article celebrating the 25th anniversary of Batman the Animated Series for Back Issue magazine, and he basically talked to damn near every person who was, who had creative involvement. And so it's a terrific article for Back Issue, but he talked to me about the process of connecting with these people, and a really great conversation. And this is Batman on film, and well, that's something I think your listeners will enjoy. And also, for the Movie Film Podcast, my partner Brian Ahal and I just recorded a commentary track for Superman 4: The Quest for Peace. And
oh boy,
and
it's better than Superman 3.
No.
Well,
Chris Clown would agree.
Do not say that to Zaki and myself.
I'm constitutionally unable to be unbiased about Superman 3. That's the first movie I ever saw in the theater. So
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know.
Zaki, I have a comic book
I do too.
adaptation.
I have it
really
Superman 3
in my garage. Yeah.
Yes.
But we did a commentary track, and we didn't just crap all over the movie for 90 minutes. We actually had a quite fruitful conversation about the stuff that we think works and maybe the stuff that obviously does not work as well. But I think it makes for a good listen. So I hope your listeners would be willing to check that out.
Cool. Twitter.
I'm at Zaki's Corner, Zakis Corner.
All right, very good. All right, Ryan.
Okay, you can follow me on Twitter at SMB_Ryan. I got a few things to plug, actually. Episode 60 of the Robin Everyone Loves the Drake podcast comes out, where it's the one where what's his name? Justin joined us to talk about the 2 0-hour issues of Robin. And you can find that if you just go to Twitter at ELTD Podcast or on the BatmanPodcastNetwork.com website, you'll find Robin Everyone Loves the Drake there. I have some updates on the Super Mario Brothers Movie Archive website that are going up this weekend, actually. The first is a interview with Paul Shipper, who did the exclusive Steelbook artwork for the recently released Mario Brothers Steelbook.
Wow.
That is already up. You can check that out at smbmovie.com. And the other thing that's probably going up in the next couple days is we were able to get a 4K scan of one of the original trailers of the movie, and we had it 4K scan and restored and color corrected, and we're going to post that up to YouTube. So it's probably, the only 4K version of any of that film footage that you'll find. And it's cool because some of the, because it's got some full map portions in addition to the widescreen portions. So it almost looks like when you're watching the Dark Knight trilogy and it switches from widescreen to like full IMAX. So, and it's in 4K. So it's really cool. So that should be up within the next day or two. And I also want to remind y'all to leave, iTunes reviews for the BOF podcast. And we've got a couple of 5-star ones that just came in recently. They're good ones. You mean to read them? They're pretty short. They're good reviews.
How short?
Okay. So here's one from Zari Jr. It says, it's the best Batman/DC show in the internet. It says, I've been following this guy for 10 years, and all I've got to say is that I don't think there's a more reliable and more honest podcast when it comes to Batman and all things DC. Keep up the amazing work. I agree.
Very cool.
Other is, the other is from Rob C. from Atlanta, Georgia. The title is The Best in the Business, 5 stars. I have been a long-time listener and must say, if you are a Batman fan, this is the place to be. Every time a new episode drops, I can't wait to listen. Everyone here is very knowledgeable and entertaining while having great chemistry together, but most importantly, the integrity you have is first rate. I appreciate all the work and effort you guys put into this podcast, and it shows. I only gave you 5 stars because 6 was not an option. Keep up the great work.
Nice.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, 6 is good.
I thought I was a clickbaiting BS posting a-hole, but thank you for that.
Bill, all I'm going to say is if people on Twitter aren't taking shots at you, you're not doing your job.
Yeah,
Oh.
I know.
There you
I know.
go.
Oh, I'm also a leech on society.
Hey.
Yes, leech on society's that. Sorry. All right. Speaking of leeches, Rick, plug.
Oh, man.
Every time I hear leech, I think Stand By Me when they have the leech.
Ooh.
Rick.
It's a great
Rick,
scene.
I love Rick like a brother.
Yeah.
He knows that. My fellow Texan.
All right, so I want to plug our most recent Left Shoe Politics podcast. I'm very proud of this one. I think it's one of the best episodes.
It was good, Rick. It was good, dude.
It's my top 3 favorites are our debut episode, the one we did on religion, which Zaki was actually on both of those. Thank you, sir. And this one here, we actually got a gentleman named Blake Cooper Griffin, who was a surrogate for the 2016 Hillary Clinton campaign. And we sit around and we basically dissect our thoughts of the current Democratic Party. And it's not real pleasant. We're not real happy with them or their leaders. And that was really basically the whole show. and what the future of the Democratic Party is, what happens in the midterms, what happens in 2020. If you like politics, I don't care if you're conservative, independent, whatever you are, I really, please listen to this episode. You can find it iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, YouTube, anywhere great podcasts are found. Follow me on Twitter, ShewRick, ShewRick. I wish I had good news about my new bar, because I was going to throw a big BOF party early next year, but we had to walk away from the deal. So we are starting from scratch.
Rick.
Yeah, we had to walk away from the deal. Very heartbreaking. We got emotionally invested in the location, but it just wasn't going to be a good deal for us. So we are hitting the ground running Monday morning to find a new location. So I'll keep everybody posted that gives a damn about that, which is
right.
five people, but I'm talking to you.
Twitter.
Yeah.
I did. ShewRick.
Oh, you did Twitter? All right, good. Okay, good. Okay. How about you want to plug your Facebook?
Oh yeah, I've got this little fun satellite Facebook page, Batman on Film Shoes. It's not the official page. It's just a goofy page for us Batman fans.
It's a fanboy page.
It's just a fun page. So follow that. It's BOF Shoes. I've got a couple hundred followers. I'd like to get more people over there just so we can have some more fun. I share a lot of stuff from the homepage, so that can get a little redundant. I get that, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
All right. Justin.
Yeah. You can find me on Twitter at J_Rocca. And if you'd love to, we mentioned it in the early part of the show. If you want to follow the other podcasts that I put out, the Let's Go Comic Show, where we just talked about a little bit of the Suicide Squad 2 news. It was kind of funny. We did some Star Wars, talked about Mr. Miracle #1, which that is a great comic book. If you're loving the Tom King Batman, like I do, and I know Bill enjoys it, this first issue of Mr. Miracle was fantastic, and we talk about that a little bit. And then we also have the standard Let's Go podcast, where we hit up music from 2000 to 2005. We kind of went over a little list, and it was fun. It was a good show. So check those out if you want to, because that would make my heart sing. Cool. So there you go. And then check out the Batman on Film Instagram. Please go to Instagram and check that out. Follow it, because we're trying to put some stuff on there, and there's been some good. I mean, getting our new theme music came out of that. Mm-hmm. Because Chris hit us up and he saw that, and so that was cool. And buy some merch. Buy some merch on TeePublic.
I got mine. I got
mine. Original t-shirt.
Dadgum original. Yeah, I got it.
Right.
That's good.
And one more plug, Bill.
Yes.
One more plug, Eli.
Yes.
Go Cowboys.
Go Cowboys. Yes, go Cowboys. But Just League Watch Party in Austin. And you know what? Maybe we need to organize one, Justin, in California, in Riverside, and maybe one in
LA,
maybe North Carolina. I'm talking about for Justice League, and just in case you two aren't able to get to Austin, we should probably do this more often. Do more than one. Would that work for y'all going forward?
I would 100% down.
And,
let's definitely do LA. That would be great fun. And
we're going to do an LA. We're going to do LA one with be the main one at one time. We're going to at some point. We're going to do it. Rick and I are going to get out there, right, Rick?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
For sure.
Not Sherman Oaks.
Okay.
Really. I always say Sherman Oaks. I fib a litlittle bit. I lived in Van Nuys, right? But it's just so bad. I think everybody in my little condo complex was like literally doing porn.
Oh my god!
It was.
You'll need to tell some stories one day.
Oh man,
not now, but some
porn capital of the world, man.
Yeah. Batman on Film 2.0, BOF 2.0, coming January 1st. That's coming, and golly, I don't have anything else really. I guess if you want to follow this Leech on Society. This announcer Rachel will tell you where you can do that. And speaking of her, she's going to take us out right now.
Hey now! You've been listening to the Batman on Film podcast, a proud member and the sponsor of the Batman Podcast Network, BatmanPodcastNetwork.com. You can listen to the BOF podcast on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, TuneIn, and wherever good podcasts like this one can be found. Want to advertise on the BOF podcast? Go to advertisecast.com/the Batman on Film Con podcast. Follow Jett on Twitter at Batman on Film and on BOF's Facebook fan page at facebook.com/Jett.BatmanOnFilm. Email Jett via Jett@batman-on-film.com. Follow Rick on Twitter at ShewRick and on Facebook at facebook.com/BOF-Shew. For Jett, Rick, Justin, and Ryan, I'm announcer Rachel. Thanks for listening.